Hi, I'm going to call this Why I Hate 2002 Spider-Man / review. It's this review, but it's also going to be titled Why I Hate this movie. Still working on the title in my head right now. So, this is the most insulting origin that you could think of when it came to this iconic legend that's important to me. Might not be important to everyone else, but he's important to me. I don't think he's important to anyone because people actually like these two Spider-Man films, the first two ones. So I don't think he's important to everyone else. I don't think people think that much of him. So I'm going to tell you what the story is about. Peter gets bit by a spider, gets shredded abs, wants to get a car to impress this girl called Mary Jane, who was with seeing someone, enters a wrestling match, wins the wrestling match, but he was supposed to go on. He was going to get $6,000 for 6 minutes. 16 for, but he pinned him down in 2. He was going to go. I know what he was going to get $5 $50,000 for 15 minutes or something. It was only $15,000 for 15 minutes, and he pinned him down 2 minutes. This guy that was way bigger than him, he has passed away. But I would say he's really good in this film, the wrestler, because he's just entertained, knows what kind of garbage the film is, so he's just overacting, trying. He's bringing the comedy gold when it comes to cheesy, he plays this really silly wrestler over exaggerated idea of wrestler, what everybody is a wrestler supposed to be like, and he just plays it like he wants it. And then the cage match scene, let's talk about the cage match. Okay, the cage match scene is my favorite scene in the entire movie. It's the only thing I like in the movie. Every scene is just generic or forgettable, but I like it because how McGuire is selling the role as Spider-Man, and as Peter Parker in the role, and also as Peter Parker in this cage match. Once he gets locked in the cage, he starts freaking out because he starts winning Peter Parker. He says, "Unlock the cage! I didn't sign up for a cage match. Take the chain off, damn it!" Because he's gonna get hurt really bad, and he's kind of right. He does get hurt pretty bad. But then he decides to think on his toes, and that's when his Spider-Man hero side comes out, because he starts making fun of the guy while making really, really, really annoying quips that get on the guy's nerves, but make us, the audience, laugh, but most of all makes me laugh. And he wins the match by sinking on his toes, and then that's how it is. You think it's going to but you think it's how they announce he's going to give this performance from now on. Nope. It ends after the cage match is right over, and after the crowd screaming, "Spider-Man! Spider-Man! Spider-Man!" And next he goes back to the bland, forgettable performance, and lets the guy get away just because he got cheated out of money. So his actions lead to Uncle Ben dying. Then he finds out that the same person that killed Uncle Ben is the same person that he let get away from the wrestling match that robbed the place. So he jumps out of the window, but he has to face a serial killer like he wants to kill, but that he looks like he wish he killed someone. So technically, he didn't learn anything. He didn't learn that. So technically, in a place he blames more of the guy that killed Uncle Ben rather than blaming his own actions, which led to the killing of Uncle Ben. Now, in the comics, in case you don't know, and then suddenly he just looks at this drawing of him as there's a really good drawing of his Spider-Man costume, and cuts to the montage of him Spider-Man wearing them criminals and montage while barely saying anything except woohoo and whoa and kind of out of nowhere, and then he has a job with Dave Vigo after living while he's still living with Harry, who's his roommate now, and he's already graduated high school in a matter of minutes. He was only in college. We only saw him in high school. He graduated high school the next day. After his well, here's I feel like there's a scene that's really missing from this film. Okay, he goes to disappearing from the cops after the guy accidentally tripped out of the window, the person who killed his uncle. Then it goes to him graduation, as I guess it's supposed to be a time jump. I don't know how many time jump, because the movie doesn't say how long it's been since Uncle Ben's death, but Peter's still grieving over his Uncle Ben's death. And then he gets the idea to be dressed up as a guy in spandex and fight crime. And we'll say, him looking at another thing I like about this film, is that the, picture in the, was when Peter Parker is looking at the picture of his drawing as his final costume. And he's remembering what Uncle Ben told him, with great power comes great responsibility. And it says, remember that, Peter, remember that. And he puts on next thing, instead of seeing him making the costume, or putting on the costume, we see him just already in the costume, running out criminals, really randomly in a quick, really montage that's also supposed to be uplifting, but comedic at the same time, because we have really bad eyes singing the old 1967 Spider-Man theme song. Really off key. No, that happens in the sequel. When the Chinese lady sings the Spider-Man theme song with off key. I'm sorry, I got that confused. But this people making comments how weird and awkward the montage is also can be very awkward, because a lot of people say something they call a wackadoodle thing. That's what they call what Spider-Man wackadoodle thing. And one of the criminals said he thinks I don't like him. Really? Yeah, this sounds oh boy, this is gonna be one of these movies, huh? And he said the two girls that sings that he's trying one, a fat girl, and a goth girl that looks like that when some goth girls that said, well, most smoking said he looks hot, blah blah blah, and the fat girl said how he's wearing these tight, I just want to squeeze. There's too much. He said he's squeezed his little and cut away. It's just, the montage feels also rushed, even. The montage feels rushed for a montage. And, I feel like my brain's dying right now for the stupidity. So, I don't understand all of this stuff feels unnecessary to a very important story that took like 9 or 10 pages in the comics for his origin. And all of this stuff feels unnecessary, and we have no idea why we have no idea why he became Spider-Man, and we have no idea what he learned, if he learned anything in this film. Because he's supposed to learn as he grows. That's part of character development. But he learns nothing at all. At all. Now I'm going to stop talking about the film, and I'm going to talk about the original comic of the origin of Spider-Man. And what the point is about the origin story. Now, the point of the origin story is about a boy becoming a man and taking on responsibilities after his closest thing to a father figure, which was his Uncle Ben, got murdered, and he got killed because Peter Parker could have stopped the robber, but he said from now on he's looking up for his number one, and that's him. Because he's been bullied all of his life, and no one's ever got his back, except for Uncle Ben and Aunt May. So when his Uncle Ben gets killed in the comics, his world goes crumbling down, and he gets angry and wants vengeance. Then he doesn't go through with it because he realized the one who really was responsible for Uncle Ben's death was himself. But he didn't let that destroy him. He turned a negative into a positive by becoming Spider-Man, so that no one else would pay the price for what he did, for being irresponsible or selfish. So by him becoming Spider-Man, is him basically owning up to take on the level of responsibility that his Uncle Ben told him about. Well, with great power comes great responsibility. He didn't know what that meant. He just thought Uncle Ben, he didn't know I don't think he knew what that meant when Uncle Ben said that, but he kind of had a feeling when he got the idea of Spider-Man, he thinks that this is what he was talking about. Be the man who he wants to be when he grows up. And what he wants to be is not a vigilante, like Batman or the Punisher, or what he was going to be before he decided not to take the man's life. Instead, the man just turned himself, instead of having the man turn himself in, that murders his uncle, and him serving his time in prison. So instead of the man dying, instead of taking the man's life, he decided to learn something from his mistake. He decided to learn that killing is wrong, and that he really doesn't have anything else to blame but himself. But he doesn't now let that destroy who he is. Instead, he decides to be better than what he was before, be a better person than what he was before, be Spider-Man. And that's how he learned to be a hero. That's when he, and then, in the economy, that's when he says what Uncle Ben taught him, with great power comes great responsibility. You were right, Uncle Ben, you were right. And that's when he's walking home and he says this to himself, what I just told you, and then he decides to start waiting out criminals and people who are doing the people who are committing crimes and doing the wrong things. Helping out the little person, helping out the little guy, helping out those who really need it. Besides just doing the really big stuff, which he still does, but he also helps out the people that most people don't consider helping, that the police don't consider helping, because they're just more minor threats and levels and stuff. But Spider-Man sees this in the comics. He sees that what his Uncle Ben would have wanted, he would just try to save everyone, no matter what the cost was. He would try to do it with saying, no matter what the price was. Because you see, Uncle Ben in the comics is Spider-Man's hero. Because in the movies it was Tony Stark, it was someone else always that, or it was himself that made him the hero in the radio films. But in the comics, he became Spider-Man because Uncle Ben inspired him to be a hero. Because to Peter, Uncle Ben always was a hero, a real superhero. So he wanted to be a superhero like his own old man, who was the closest thing that Peter had to a father. And that makes the closest thing that Peter has to a mother. And that's how he became Spider-Man. This doesn't work out any of those poignant elements into the story at all. At all. Yeah, so anyway, Green Goblin does experiments on him the Green Goblin who was born, who becomes Green Goblin, does experiments on him the same time Peter gets bit by a radioactive spider, the same day or the same night that Peter Powers gets hit on before Uncle Ben gets murdered. So time jumps, Peter Goblin's killing people, blah blah blah, at a circus because he got fired from his own company, blah blah blah. So he has to save people, blah blah blah. Has sort of crush on MJ even from when he was a little kid, and also that he also had in high school, blah blah blah. She was Harry now, but has Spider-Man just still wants MJ to be hers, also known as Mary Jane, blah blah blah. It's trying to jumble a bunch of different things, and it doesn't show any restraint. It doesn't show any control. That is to show you that they have control over all of the story that they're trying to jumble. The only things they can jumble is the action scenes, and the action scenes are, well, yeah, obviously staged and has really lame effects. Even for low-budget TV show standards, or low-budget movie standards, like, it's stylized and shot nice. It's shot nice, so I will give it that. It's shot like you can actually see it, and no quick jump cuts like some Liam Neeson movies like Taken 3, or, yeah, so, that's another good thing I have to say about number 3. And, okay, I'm going to talk about the Spider-Man costume now. I don't like the costume at all. I hate the costume. Look, I like the design, but I hate the costume at the same time. Look, it's not a bad design at all. It's a comic accurate design. I hate it because Peter Parker in the story and in the comics made the costume. And this continuity, and also in the original comic book continuity, and every other comic book continuity, he makes his own costume and makes his own web fluid. True, in this film, he doesn't make his own web fluid. It's organic, but instead of making it a scientific, which I don't mind the organic web fluid, but I don't love it either because I feel like it takes a layer of Peter Parker's character. It's because in the comics, Peter Parker is more brains than bronze. This Peter Parker feels more because of all the fact that we see him testing out his organic web shooters. That's all we see him testing out and stuff. But we never see him make anything that's useful. We never see him invent. We never see him use his brains or think on his toes. So this Peter Parker comes across more bronze than brains. Now, Andrew Garfield, say what you will about him, but I feel like he made an attempt to make him come across more brains than bronze. But they only did a minimum job. Like, not a good job, not a bad job, but right in between. And Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2. Personally, I think Amazing Spider-Man 1 did a better job at highlighting that Peter Parker is supposed to be more brains than bronze. Spider-Man Amazing 2, I enjoyed that film more, did a less job working into the story. Like, instead of having him figure out how to upgrade his gear, he has to watch a YouTuber. That's how he figures it out. Instead of figuring it out by himself, I know that's a real, I'm not saying that's not what a real person would do, but Peter Parker, what a real average person would do, but Peter Parker has more than just an average IQ. Like, he's literally a genius in the comics. A real genius, actually. He's a mad genius in the comics. And that's my problem with Andrew Garfield. I feel like he just feels like average intelligence. Peter Parker feels like he's, well, slightly below average intelligence. This one. Maguire is what I'm talking about. That feels like slightly below average intelligence. And, That's why I think Tom Holland is my favorite Spider-Man and for live adaptation, because he's the one that can seem to sell that Spider-Man has more brains than bronze. And can think on his toes. Think while he's in the middle of probably going to in the thing on his head, thinking on his toes when he's in the middle of danger, like in Far From Home. Remember, he made a shield. He made a car shield, and he destroyed all the drones that were attacking him. He could think while he was in the game. That was one of the things I always loved about Spider-Man from the comics. Besides, and also, Tom Holland's Spider-Man can joke when he's in the most stressful of situations, like Spider-Man from the comics. And that's how for those who know, that's supposed to be a coping mechanism, how he deals with stress. How he deals with stress is not just to confront it, but to make fun of it. Make fun of the situation and how him telling himself to look on the bright side, or telling him to look on the funny side in this case. That's why I think Tom Holland is the best Spider-Man, okay? And, look, so, that we got right now, okay? First thing, I'm one of those people that think Homecoming is better than Far From Home. While Homecoming has a better climax, I will admit, I feel like Homecoming told a more relatable story about Peter Parker and his hero half. A more human story that felt more honest and more down to earth, besides having incorporating his sense of humor more better in the first one, when he's Spider-Man. In Homecoming, I'm talking about. Although, what I did like about, the one improvement I got, another improvement I got against Homecoming is the Parker negative luck. That everything he tries to do to his advantage always ends up backfiring. That's what I did like about Far From Home. But I feel like somewhere in between Far From Home and Homecoming is I want to say perfect, but I'm afraid what would happen if I do say it, but I'm going to say perfect because I already did. It's the perfect definition of Spider-Man adaptation of all time. Now, we haven't got that for movies, but we have gotten that TV shows. And for TV show, I would have to say the Ultimate Spider-Man, and who plays him is Drake Bowman. He's very good playing the puny, sympathetic Peter Parker half, who has to keep on playing the coward, and who has to keep on being the pushover, and who has to go across as low confidence, someone unsure of himself. And he does a good job playing that and he also does a good job playing the brains half of Peter Parker, and also brains half of Spider-Man. Like, the brain half of Peter Parker works into his daily life as Spider-Man because he often can use what he learned from class, from science, and use that to his advantage. Because he's that smart. He uses his brains to his advantage when he's getting his ass whooped. While also cracking jokes in really stressful and painful situations. When he's near death or when he's getting his ass whooped. Now I'm talking about the series of Ultimate Spider-Man. So that's how he comes. And that's exactly how he's like in the comics. True, he doesn't break the fourth wall in the comics ever. It's not any issues I read, but I don't mind it. I probably think it would be more in character if he didn't, because that's more of Deadpool's thing. The Spider-Man thing is not that it doesn't work with Spider-Man, because Spider-Man is like basically supposed to be the kid-friendly version of Deadpool. Every comic fan knows, people who really understand Spider-Man's character know that that's what he's like. The more kid-friendly version of Deadpool, but he's also the more smart version of Deadpool, because Deadpool doesn't know anything about science or using his brain. He just, well, he doesn't not use his brain. He just doesn't have a brilliant brain, like a brilliant IQ like Peter Parker's. He has kind of like a more of a, you know, a guy who's socialized at the bar brain. Deadpool does. So, anyway, back to the story. So Peter Parker at the Sphere takes down Green Goblin, and Green Goblin is the line, we all meet against Spiderman, blah, blah, blah. He's hatching, he's planning his next plan, and his plan is to try to turn Spiderman into evil. And he does this by kidnapping him and talking to him and offering him a job. And he turns it down without any hesitation and calls him a murderer. And that and says he's a murderer. And Gringo says he has a conversation with Spider-Man, has a hot talk conversation, saying he doesn't see any different between taking a life and saving a life. He doesn't see any difference between the hero or the villain. Just the labels. This depends how you label them, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, we heard this stuff before in film. We heard it in Muppets, Treasure Island, that was done, and it's done better, but they did it in a comedic musical number. The song was called A Professional Pirate. Sung by Tim Curry, yeah. So, also, yeah,